Assalamu alaikum. This is Mehnaz Akber Aziz with Live Talks. Pakistan is so proud, and Pakistanis are so proud of what the women's national football team has achieved in their historic win. Their debut at the FIFA football match in Ivory Coast, their match against the Turks and Caicos. So the vibe right now in Pakistan is of pride, exuberance, and looking forward. Very congratulatory. And all of a sudden, we are recognizing the women's national football team. Not only that, but women in sports. This is a huge win. 8-0, 8-0. Today, I'm so excited for the speaker that I have on the podcast is our captain, our national football team captain, Maria Khan, who is the granddaughter of the legendary squash player Hashim Khan. And she is the third generation hero from Khans of Nawakil, Peshawar. So, welcome to the show, Maria.
Assalamu alaikum, Mehnaz. Thank you so much for the introduction and thank you so much for having me.
Maria, you're doing so much. Before we talk about the match, I would like the audience to know what are you currently doing? It's not just that you're the captain. It's a lot, but it's not just that you're the captain of the team, the national football team of Pakistan, but you're joining me from Cambodia. I'm curious what you're doing here, and you are working in many other countries. Please tell us a little bit about your work.
So like a lot of women in women's sports, we wear a lot of different hats. So in addition to playing full time, a lot of us also have full-time jobs. And so for me right now, in addition to playing full time, I've just joined a club in Malaysia where I will be starting my season and playing there as a professional football player. In addition to that, I also work for FIFA in the talent development scheme program, which is under Arsene Wenger. And my job and my role within that is to go to different countries within Asia and Africa and help different federations or member associations with their talent identification strategies, as well as helping identify youth from the ages of 12 to 17 and identifying players for their youth national teams, which inshallah, once they get placed into those youth national teams, they are feeding directly into the senior teams and representing their countries, like I've had the honor to do with Pakistan. Just a little bit about my playing background. So I have played professionally in 6 different countries. I just signed my first professional contract at the age of 32. So I'm currently now 35. So I have been playing football professionally for the past 3 years, as well as working full time. So yeah, really excited to be here and to speak a little bit more about our team and what's been happening.
Okay, so this was Pakistan's first ever FIFA win at senior level. What was going on in your head and that of your team when you started the match?
So it's actually quite interesting. So our team has been back reinstated since 2022. So before that, we were on an 8-year ban, international ban by FIFA. So that was both men's and women's international football. So we've actually been able and fortunate enough to compete in Olympic qualifiers as well as Asia Cup qualifiers during that time, where we have actually had some very good performances. So, we're excited that our performance against Turks and Caicos was able to get positive attention, because it's really a result of a lot of hard work from the coaches and the staff and the players that have been, going on for about 3.5 years now. So yeah, it's not something that happened overnight. It's something that's been happening, again, like I said, for the good part of about 3.5 years. So yeah, we're really proud. And we're a group of women and coaches that really, we really love just representing our country and again trying to make Pakistan proud and put us on a global map for sports.
So I was reading about the Pakistan women's football team, and so it was started in 2010, and they've been playing friendly matches with in Nepal, Singapore, Saudi Arabia, a few other countries, SAF, the South Asian games. So how was this game different from the friendly matches and the past SAF games?
Yeah, so what's great about these FIFA series is that teams that normally don't get to play each other get to play each other. So we have been fortunate enough to play African teams before, but this is the first time that we've played really strong African teams like Ivory Coast. And so it's a really good opportunity for different styles of play, different profiles of players to come together and actually compete against each other. So yeah, it was a really good experience. It was something that, we were looking forward to because the last time we played was over 1 year ago. So
Oh,
this was the first time that we'd been together in over a year. So yeah, it was definitely something, we were anxious, we were excited, and we were really ready to play and try to make the country proud.
so how much preparation is required? You don't live here, you live in UAE. You come and go. And the team is very diverse. So in my like in my knowledge, it's from Quetta, Mangupir, KPK, Gilgit, Sialkot, South Punjab. So how do they keep up the training? What are do they go back to their homes, and are there facilities there? How are you in touch as the captain of the team? Very curious to know that, because this win is not ordinary and it is not just a miracle. It's a culmination of hard work.
Gee, so, thank you for that question because I think it's really important for people to understand what the dynamic is and what the reality is for different players within the same team. So at the moment, we have a mix of players that do not have professional clubs, and then we have a mix of players that are playing for professional clubs. So outside of Pakistan. So the group of players that are in those professional environments, they're training regularly, they're playing games regularly. So again, they have the resources, the facilities, the infrastructure to be able to come to the national team when we have camps or when we have friendlies. But then the reality of the rest of the team who are based in Pakistan, there's no domestic football really for Pakistan. There are some private clubs that are, that have a women's side where these girls regularly go train with, or they're training with boys. But in terms of actual official competition, there's nothing at the moment. So inshallah, that will change soon with the women's football department in PFF trying to sort out the domestic scene. But yeah, right now the realities for players and not just footballers, other athletes as well in Pakistan, it's very difficult to be ready and be the best athlete you can be and then come to the international stage and perform, right?
Mm.
Because our infrastructure domestically in the country has not matured, and it's still really far in its infancy, unfortunately. So yeah, it's a tough reality, and the athletes, again, I'll say, not just the footballers, the other athletes as well in Pakistan, they have a real uphill battle at the moment, when it comes to being able to compete domestically and then expect to perform at the international level.
So Maria, with all these challenges after the match, after the big win, after the big excitement, did you have a huddle with the government or the sports board of Pakistan as to the way forward and what next, and the other team
Yes.
members as well?
Gee, so us as players haven't had those discussions. We're hoping that that's being handled at the leadership and management level with the Pakistan Football Federation. But again, as it as it seems that the relationships between government entities as well as the Pakistan Football Federation are becoming a lot better. I
Hmm.
think our leadership at PFF has made a very big effort to try to bridge that gap and help build that relationship. But at the moment, when it comes to actual like financial support from the government, it's absolutely zero. Um, right now, majority of the funding, if not all of the funding, comes from FIFA directly. So again, and that's a key reason why we've only been playing once a year, and not just the women's team, men's teams as well have not been very active. The youth teams have not been very active either throughout the years during the friendly windows because there's been a real struggle for financial support.
So you play an international match once a year, the Pakistan team. And so, what happens after that? What are the opportunities for the girls, the team members? After, for 1 year, what do they do? I mean, if there are no facilities here, there is no funding here, what do they do?
Gee, so yeah, it's been difficult in the past. As I said, historically, we've probably been playing maybe one window a year. So what ends up happening is, there are certain windows that are allocated throughout the year by FIFA. It can be anywhere from like four to five windows, maybe 4 to 6 windows a year where national teams are eligible to play. So yeah, again, due to a lot of constraints, we as the women's team, and even the men's team and some of the youth teams as well, um, we have not been able to play regularly. So what usually happens is our coach tries to have a little bit of a longer camp where the girls come outside of that allocated FIFA window to have a little bit longer of a training camp because again they haven't really been exposed to competition, regular competition, high intensity trainings, etc., like that. So what usually happens is you have a group of players that will finish with the national team and then they go back to their professional football environments where they are playing full time. Like we have a handful of girls that do that, but then you also have a handful of players that aren't in full-time professional environments in Pakistan, and they're actually in a position to where they have to try to train on themselves, train themselves, or try to find teams that they can train with, whether it's the private academies or private clubs that are in Pakistan, or training with boys, playing with boys in small friendlies. They're responsible for their fitness and trying to get better pretty much on their own, which is really really tough. Again, like I said, there are some private clubs that really do try to support a women's section within their clubs. But again, it becomes really difficult when they don't have any regular competition. So again, right now, the best thing that we can try to do for our players until things get sorted out domestically is try to find opportunities abroad for them. And one great example, of a player is our vice captain,
Mhm.
who a lot of her football experience is she's a product of football in Pakistan, but she's had to be responsible in partnership with the private club. She's been Karachi City. She's been responsible for a lot of her own development, and trying to find her training, find her own games to be playing and stuff like that. And now she's professionally signed with a club in Bhutan. Um, so
Okay.
it's a good positive thing because again, in partnership with Karachi City, who has done their best to support her, as well as her taking the initiative as a player to try to focus on her training, her nutrition, her recovery, all that stuff. She's now in an opportunity where she gets to go play full time. So she will now be one of those players that's in a full time professional environment. And to be honest, that's probably one of the best signs for our national team is the fact we have more players playing in these professional and full time environments, because when we then come together for the national team, we are then in the best position possible to be able to succeed. And then rather than trying to focus on fitness and match fitness, the coach really can focus on tactical training, because technically inside the FIFA window, you only get 2 days with your team, 1.5 days with your team before you actually play. So it's a big challenge at the moment, but inshallah. So we're hoping that our federation can, continue as they are building that relationship with the, local government, to be able to find solutions when it comes to financial support. Because if we continue to, make history, when we play and then we're forced to not play again for another year, it becomes very difficult as a player, as a coach, as a federation, to keep that positive momentum going. So yeah, I'd say those are the three things that, I'm hoping that we can continue to work towards and try to make happen.
So, Maria, you are now, as the captain, and all your players are role models for girls across Pakistan. And our girls are in our YouTube, in our social media. There are these instances of girls playing in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Karachi, other areas, cricket, football, other sports. So, if a girl is watching you, if a young girl is watching you, from Peshawar or Karachi, so and wants to play football. So what do they need to do?
I think again, depending on the age, it really depends. But especially the younger girls, it's really just go take whatever equipment you need. Again, whether it's just a ball, whether it's just a ball and a bat, whether it again can be a volleyball, can be anything, and just grab a partner and really just go play. Again, again at those younger ages, it's really those that ball mastery in terms of football is what we call it. At a younger age, that just it really helps. And again, until things can become more formalized and until there's a proper pathway and infrastructure for a player to get involved, then that's something that will come. But in the meantime, it's really just about continuing to enjoy the game, continue loving the game, watch as much of the sport you like as you can, because that always helps a lot. So yeah, and again, find something that was really important for me was to be able to find role models. And
Yeah.
I think that's what's so amazing about our national team is, it's been able to produce so many great role models, that, all of us look different, we talk different, we come from different parts of Pakistan, we have different backgrounds, we have different stories. So, I feel like within our team, there's a role model for everyone, just depending on what type of young girl you are. If you want someone that's more quiet or outgoing, we have those types of role models in our teams. We have, if you're more outgoing and, like to talk and communicate, we also have those kind of role models in the team. So yeah, I think it would, my advice would be is to, watch as much of the sport that you love as you can. It would be go spend time outside with a ball and a partner, and just touches on the ball. And then the third one would really be find a role model, that you look up to.
Yeah, and your role model was?
I had a few. So I have a male footballer and a female footballer, that I really look up to. The male footballer is Vincent Company, and the female footballers that I have, the first one was Brianna Scurry, U.S. women's national team goalkeeper, and the second one is Lucy Bronze, who is a defender, fullback for England. Also my grandfather, Hashem, I can't forget about him. He's definitely played a key role, and he's actually, one of the key motivators for me wanting to continue to play, because he didn't win his first world title, his world grand slam, until he was in about his mid-30s. So, I'm now in my mid-30s, and he continues to be my motivation, to keep going.
Maria, coming to you, I was reading your journey, your football journey. So Maria was born in Denver and she started training at the age of 6. Maria, can you just take us through the journey of your football training and your persistence and the support that you got and the infrastructure support. Just go through the journey with us.
Yeah, so I'm a product of the football pathway in the United States. Um, I started playing at a very young age because I had grassroots opportunities. And also, my parents, especially at that age, they were able to see the pathway, which at the time was, for players to get an NCAA scholarship, to where their university would be paid for, but where they can also play in a very high level and competitive environment. So that kind of goal was there, so my parents were able to buy in at the time. So their support for me, playing football, it was a little bit of up and down, but I think us coming from a sports background and us being a sports family, I think they really saw the value in sports, and they saw that it's still possible for a young girl and a woman to still be a good Muslim, be a good wife, be a good daughter, and still play sports. The two don't have to combat each other. In fact, the two actually go hand in hand. And my parents, were able to believe that, sports is going to teach their daughter a lot of life skills. And a lot of transferable skills, which it has done. So yeah, so I started playing at a very young age. Then I went on to get a Division I football scholarship,
Okay.
which was a great achievement, and not just for me, but for my parents and for my family as well. And then from there, it was very difficult because women's professional football at the time, when I was graduating university, was really volatile. There weren't opportunities like there are now. So I decided to continue my education, where I moved to Dubai to get my MBA. Got my MBA, was still
Oh.
playing football. Yeah, was still playing football, very amateur for fun, once, twice a week. And then that's actually when I got the first opportunity to come play in Pakistan, which was back in 2018 for the National Women's Championship. I came to play for a club called Royal Eagles, and that is where my involvement in Pakistan women's football started. Was back in 2018, and then ended up getting my first call up for the national team in 2020. Then there was a small ban at the time, and then we were back again in 2022, and that's where I've been since. During that time, I was working full time as a corporate professional for Ford Motor Company. And then it was in 2023 when the national team played in Saudi Arabia for a Four Nations competition. And after that competition, I got an offer to play professional football in Saudi Arabia. And what ended up happening, signed that contract offer, and at 32, and I left my full-time corporate job. So now I play football full time.
So, Maria, as a captain, you were coming from a very different background with different opportunities. What kind of support did you provide for the team? They were coming from diverse backgrounds, opportunities, no opportunities. So, on the pitch and off the pitch, what was the support that you were able to provide?
Yeah, I think, something I'm very grateful for is growing up. My family made very certain that every year, every summer, we would go and spend it in Nawikali or Spinawere, the villages that, my mother and father respectfully are from. So for me, going to, the national team and having the honor to wear the captain's armband, I think for me is a very proud moment, not just for me, but for my family as well. And I think something that was really important before I could lend any support, I think it was really key that I understood kind of the background of my teammates, right?
Hmm.
Because everyone, like I mentioned, earlier, is that everyone is so different, and everyone has very different backgrounds, everyone has very different experiences, and everyone has come from such different environments. So it's really difficult to take a one approach to all. So I think, yeah, before any support was lended or any guidance, I think I tried to spend time just getting to know each person individually. because again, when it comes to, teammates and team dynamics, you have to know what works for an individual and then the collective,
Yes.
because people will respond differently to different approaches. So, I think once I kind of understood a little bit about, each girl's or each player's environments that they've had prior, their background a little bit, I think it became a lot easier to kind of navigate, how to provide and to understand what kind of support they need. Because also culturally, a lot of girls in our and young women in our cultures have a hard time voicing what they feel. A lot of times, it's kind of, you put your head down and you do the hard work and you just push through, regardless of what emotions or feelings that you're feeling. So I think it was really important to try to create a space where players feel that they could speak up. And don't get me wrong, like things have not been perfect. I have messed up, in terms of trying to, think I'm providing support, but then it was counterproductive, or, so there were a lot of learnings on the way, from my side, to be able to get to where we are as a team now. And honestly, I'm still constantly learning. I think I'm very fortunate because I do have we have a team of young women that are really, really great people first. And I think that's really important when you're trying to build a team, is definitely the characters inside of it. So yeah, as much as support that I've been able to provide, I think the girls have equally been able to provide me that support to where I don't feel that there's all that weight, on my shoulders. And even the coaching staff, I think, has really done a great job to really make sure that responsibilities have kind of been balanced, throughout the team and spread out.
Yeah. So what next for the Pakistan's team? What kind of matches are you looking at? The SAF matches, Asian Cup qualifiers, or FIFA matches? What is the next plan?
Yeah, so we there's the SAF competition, the South Asian Games, which is supposed to happen in end of this month, early June, but we are not allowed to go because our government has not granted permission to us to go play in India. The competition is being hosted in
Okay.
India.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. So we have not received whatever permission, whether it's an NOC, I don't know the technical terms of what kind of approvals we need. But yeah, it wasn't approved from Pakistan side, so we are going to have to miss that competition, which happens once every 2 years. So we'll
Hmm.
have to wait. And it's tough one because that competition for all of the teams participating in it, it's like our World Cup.
Hmm.
And because we know that realistically, none of the teams in the South Asian region right now will qualify for a World Cup anytime soon. So again, for us, that competition, which happens once every 2 years, is a mini World Cup for us. So yeah, we're very, not disheartened, but we're really sad as a team, that we're not going to be able to, disappointed actually, as a team, that we're not going to be able to go and represent Pakistan in that competition. In terms of what's next, unfortunately, at the moment, we don't have any idea. There are FIFA windows that are there in June, and then later on, like September, October time. But nothing has been confirmed at the moment, unfortunately.
So, Captain, you just didn't win the match. You changed the narrative. So, let's talk about what it means for the next generation, especially girls.
Yeah, I think it's a double-edged sword sometimes, living in such a digital generation. I think the fact that, we do live in a generation to where if it gets on the internet, there's no telling what can happen. And I think the fact that this performance and the result of this specific game against Turks and Caicos, I think the fact that it's hit the internet and it's completely taken off and it's brought more eyeballs and it's brought more attention, I think those kind of things show the power of the internet working very well, for good.
Yes.
Again, there's things that the internet does where it works, the other way, unfortunately. But focusing on the positives here is we hope that it's inspired a generation. We hope that it's reached homes in Pakistan where they maybe previously didn't know that Pakistan even had a women's team.
I
Something
didn't
that
know.
you see. So
I didn't
it's funny
know.
'cause, like, even when we traveled, like for example, like when we travel to the airport and we're traveling as a team in our Pakistan uniform, we go through the airport and people are like, "Oh, which school team is this? Like, where are you guys going?" So, the fact that people historically might have not known Pakistan have a women's national football team, and they still might not know. There's probably still a very big population that doesn't know. But again, if we can continue to bring the women's national football team to people's internets, to people's social media feeds, to people's news networks, their televisions, like these kind of initiatives, I think really do help drive the narrative and really show when kind of media and journalism and social media are all working together in the right way, which again, subhanallah, like it has done for us in this time.
The girls in green are great. As you said that when you go in your uniform, it's just so heartwarming to see all the team in the green uniform. And we need a lot of support, as you said, not only social media, but I think Pakistan needs to come together. Our government, our private sector, we need to come together to support our national women's football team. Maria, would you like to say something before we end the interview?
Honestly, Mehnaz, the way you said it, I think it sums it up perfectly. Like it's more than just media coverage that we need, right? It's we really need those government and private sectors to come together and know that there is a group of women out there that have made the country proud without any support. We've continued, like I said, this is not something that this is not a this result is not something that's just happened as a miracle overnight, right? It's
Yeah.
something that has been hard work of a lot of people, right? Not just the players. It's a lot of people, working in the background. It's the coaches, it's the staffs, it's the members of the federation, and it's people that genuine fans that love Pakistan football, that have been covering Pakistan football for 20 years, right? Like it's these people in this ecosystem that have really helped kind of drive where we are today. And we've now gotten to a point where we need more support. And again, that comes from, government authorities and organizations that can really, really, we've shifted the needle a little bit, but it's really these organizations that can completely move that needle.
So you got Pakistan the win, and now Pakistan needs to support the women's national football team. Thank you so much, Maria, for your time from Cambodia. Best wishes, and Pakistan Hamesha Zindabad.
For more updates, subscribe now and press bell icon.